How to win a bidding war. I've been on both sides of this battle hundreds of times. It does not feel good as a listing broker to call or email any of these buyers agents and let them know that their client did not win the bid. You know that, and a lot of times you have a personal interaction with them. You're seeing them at the showings, you're seeing them walk through the house and envision their families there. It is difficult, especially for us brokers that have a moral compass, and I'm hoping you all do. It's a difficult sell. On the buy side, it's even worse because you're intimately involved with that buyer. You're working with them, talking about bedrooms, talking about layouts, potential modifications. I understand it. This talk is really about how do we make your offer stand out. You're never going to win 100% of these bidding wars, but this is a great chat about what you can do to better yourself and put yourself in the best position possible. We're dealing with limited inventory, relatively strong buyer demand, and by limited inventory, we are at nearly 50-year lows in inventory. It is hyper competitive. I think Amanda called me last week and she was joking. She's like, I felt really good. I was in the top 5 of a multiple offer situation where there were 25 offers. So a moral victory, but that doesn't win at the end, right? There's only one first place. The seller is going to look for the cleanest, most secure buyer. Price is important, but there are a lot of things that move the needle for these sellers that maybe you don't understand. The number one most important thing you can do when you are in any offer situation is communicate with the listing agent. Forget if it's even a multiple offer. Please communicate with the listing agent. Build a relationship. Call, text. If it is a multiple offer situation, you want to be inside this broker's head. Ask the hard questions. Understand what the seller wants. Is it a short closing situation? Is it a long closing situation? Do they want to close in 30 days and have a potential rent back? Do you want to offer a post-close possession possibly for free? These are options. Strong price, waiving appraisal, asking the seller if they're going to accept escalation clauses. These are super important tactics. If you don't ask the questions, you'll never know the answer. It also is going to put you in a really great position when you're talking to your buyer. Hey, buyer, I spoke with the listing agent. They said that these are some of the hot button points that the seller is really interested in. You can then go through these, bullets and say, hey, is this something that you guys want to do? If they don't want to do it, then they're going to know right off the bat they're not going to win this bid. And again, that kind of takes the weight off of your guys' shoulders. You want to be the advocate for them. You want to get them as much information as possible so they can put their best foot forward only if they want to. If they're like, we'll take this house if we get it at 500 at a traditional close, that's fine. If someone wants to pay more, they can have it. Those are great. Those buyers understand the market, they understand their budget, and those are great relationships to have. But it's when your buyer is like, I will give up my firstborn for this house, you better be asking the hard questions. When you call that broker, ask them the number of offers that they have. A lot of times that'll be an indication of how competitive it is. And you can definitely ask that broker, am I the number one offer currently? Is there a deadline? Are you accepting escalation clauses? How do I keep my buyer in first position if you are the best price or best terms? You have to understand what the situation is. I've run into a lot of sellers that are looking for a quick close, 30 days, so they have their cash in hand, and then a 30, 60, or 90-day post-close possession, maybe with a 30-day notice, so they can go out and find their next home. Think about it, right? They're selling their home. They have to go somewhere, so they're going to be in a very similar competitive situation that you guys are in buying their home. Give them the advantage of having their cash on hand. Post-close possession is a great way to do it. If you want to scrape a couple bucks for the post-close possession and keep them real, great. If you want to offer it for free, listen, everything's on the table, and I'm happy to talk about what those strategies look like. Pricing is competitive, and you want to run comps and run through every single scenario with your client. If this is a 20-year home for them, please don't fight over $10,000. If they're wavering about whether to offer 510 or 515, 520, push them to that higher level. Be their advocate. Let them know that $20,000 in the long run is not going to change anything if this is really the right house. Dissect the comparables on today's value so you understand what value looks like, and then help them understand that over 20 years, this house is going to appreciate. You're going to be in this house for the long term. Don't massively overpay and put them in a horrible situation, especially if they're a 3 or 5 year play. But if this is a 10, 20 year play, Help them understand the value of this home long-term. And if it's really the right home, go for it. Be their advocate and get them on the top of that pile with price and terms. Contingencies are really important. You want to talk about attorney review. The shorter the attorney review period, the better. Earnest money is really important. You come in strong. A lot of people are putting $1,000 initial earnest money. If you have gone through this house, been there for 30 minutes, fine-tooth comb, your broker really is educated on the buying process, knows the condition of the home, high level, go in there and do a $5,000 non-refundable earnest money right off the bat. Write an as-is offer. Eliminate any contingencies that you can to put your offer in the best position and get this seller the confidence to move forward with your deal. You also want to talk to the broker about your experience. That's super important. Let them know that you've been doing deals in the neighborhood. You understand the buying process. All the buyer is using all of your people. We're going to talk about that. Super important. When you're dealing with, as a listing broker, if I'm dealing with a buyer's agent and they come in with one of the toughest inspectors that you've ever seen, and a lot of times I'll ask what inspectors they use, and they have a national lender, someone like, Rocket Mortgage from Texas, who is not a local lender, doesn't know our rules, doesn't know all of the nuances of doing mortgages in our neighborhood. Make sure you understand who the players are and make sure you let them know that, hey, my buyer's using my lender, my inspector. We've closed 20 deals in the past, 6 months. We're going to make this to the finish line without any hiccups. Sellers and sellers agents will fight for you if you're the right guy. Types of loans are really important. Understand the contingencies that come with all of them. Conventional loans, we're going to deal with those the majority of the time, 20, 25% down. It kind of tells the story. We love having the lender call the listing broker and be an advocate for this deal as well. I know Barry's been doing that a ton on some of these deals. It helps the seller understand what financing position they're coming from. Sometimes the 10% down buyer might be the strongest buyer. I know Fadi works with a lot of traders. They love having cash on hand. If they can buy $1 million property and only put 10% down, they're going to do it. They might have the best debt to income ratio and out of anybody because they need the capital to trade. Make sure you're telling the story. Obviously, FHA loans, VA loans, there could be stories there as well. We love the veterans. We try and get them deals as much as we can, honestly. I have a soft spot for those guys. So if there's a VA loan, don't discount it. Those are super easy to get done. FHA can be a little trickier. Appraisal, we talked about appraisals. If you guys are super comfortable and understand values of homes and not concerned about appraisals, you can do appraisal gaps, waive the appraisal altogether. These are contingencies sellers definitely want to see. Hard earnest money, I love doing that, especially immediately after 7-day attorney review. If you can get through attorney review and inspection and let your earnest money go hard, because you guys know earnest money is typically protected during the mortgage contingency clause. We are a super soft state as far as buyers contracts go. They really protect the buyers. Those mortgage contingencies run almost concurrently to the close. It's really hard to get confidence. So you want to be a lender, you want to be a lending deal and stand out, use hard earnest money. Shorter the contingency period, the better. You guys, there's going to be really competitive situations for probably the next 4 to 6 months. So understand who you're dealing with. When buyers are writing offers and they're asking for closing cost credits, personal property, extended close dates, those are things that are going to be red flags to sellers. If you want to use those, I would not bring them up in the initial contract. Maybe use those during attorney review. Throw them out there and be like, hey, would your seller be open to offering a $10,000 credit and we'll raise the purchase price $10,000? That's the time to bring those topics up, not during your initial offer if it is a competitive situation. Really important to not muddy the waters with personal properties. When you're drafting an offer, I've talked about this so many times, have your buyer ready. Have the pre-approval letter, make sure you understand their budget, have all the supporting documents, have a really strong working relationship with your buyer and run through all of the hypotheticals on what it looks like to make an offer, especially in a competitive situation. If you're educating them on what it looks like to waive appraisal in the 11th hour of a contract negotiation, you're going to have a really hard time for them to digest that and actually do that process and make their offer stand out. So educate them long before you're going through this. because the emotions run really high during a negotiation, and you want to make sure that they have already digested most of this negotiation process prior to the actual negotiation. In your offer, make it a clean contract, have the listing broker's information on there, your lender's information, your attorney's information. A really complete contract obviously presents yourself the best. Execute the disclosures. We do like a buyer's letter. This buyer's letter has changed over the years. We're no longer showing the fluffy picture of, the family and the dog and grandma and all that stuff. I suggest if you're going to write a letter and you want to tell them about why you're a good fit for the home, talk about the home. Talk about why you love the home and why you see yourself in the home. No pictures, no personal information, because we're talking about fair housing laws and things like that. But you definitely can say that you love the built-in hutches, or the staircase reminds you of something you grew up with, and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. The email of the body has a summary of the terms and the conditions for easy review. You don't want every listing broker, if they're going through 10 offers, to start peeling all the data points out of your contract. Make it easy for them. Let them know that you're a professional. You're making life easy for them. Summarize is super important. If you can soften the deal in some areas, there are seller transaction costs, like with the municipalities. If you as a broker want to throw out there that you'll cover the inspection from Hinsdale that they're going to require for $500, do it. These are things, again, that put your deal on the top of the stack so that you're a real estate professional, and absolutely will let that listing broker know that you're being a collaborative broker and will continue to be throughout the process. Like I said, we're going to see a competitive situation for the next, I would say, 4 to 6 months, and it's going to be active. Get your buyers pre-approved and educate them along the way with all these contingencies, so you're not fumbling in the 11th hour, trying to get them to jump through hoops and understand what it means to be the best buyer. I think everybody's going to fall on their face the first time. No one's going to go in guns blazing on the first one, usually. But the second or third competitive offer, you want to know all of these tricks and make sure you're the best one out there. You guys, I'm opening it up to questions. Tell me about some of the most recent deals you've had and any competitive situations. I don't know if Amanda's on here, but she had some doozies.
I had a quick question for you, Matt. I
Sure.
had a competitive situation where it was cash buyer. They wanted to go in significantly lower, which I knew was too low. I was hoping it wouldn't turn off the list agent, because I did go through the 50 questions and introduce myself, and I already knew that they had another cash offer. So it was kind of hard to maneuver. The clients, by the time they realized that maybe the offer was a little low and decided to go back in, they had already accepted an offer from the other agent. And I think they were okay, because this was ultimately their decision. But I just wish I could have gotten them to that second step first, a little
Yeah, a lot of
quicker. And I
times
don't know
you'll
whether
ask
it
the
was.
listing broker in your questioning, are you going to counter every offer, or are you only countering the top 3? A lot of times when I'm a listing broker and I have 15 offers, I'm not countering everybody, because some of them just get wiped off right away. If your cash buyer came in way low, they're off the table. Again, that goes back to the education process. Educate them on the comps, educate them on pricing, educate them on where you feel value is. If they feel value is different than where the list price is and or where you suggest list, that's fine. You said it. They're going to have to learn their own lessons. And like I said, the first time you lose a multiple offer situation, it's going to be a zinger. It's going to hurt, and it has to happen, right? It's like all of our first loves. They hurt, but that's the only way you grow, and that's the only way you learn.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to say that I personally have had good success with the buyer letter, making sure that they're not violating any fair housing laws. Recently, I had a multiple offer situation where all my buyers really mentioned was they liked the natural lighting. They couldn't wait to meet the neighbors and be part of the community. And the seller had lived in that house for 30 years, actually liked their neighbors. And so they wanted it to go to someone who was going to be an active member of the community. And that's what won them the offer. So I definitely think the letters.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I love that. Nina, great point. And I touched on that really quickly. You want to talk about the house, the neighborhood is brilliant. I love that strategy, because you're right. These people have lived in these homes, and you can see how long, some 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They are really looking to pass this home off to someone who's going to be a great neighbor, someone who's going to carry on the tradition of love and respect in their home, write the letter. No personal stuff, no fair housing, but touch on those hot topics. Great idea with the neighborhood. Love that. Nina, was your last listing multiple offers, the one you just got under contract?
No, it was not. It's in a weird pocket of the city where there's a ton of inventory. Everything's sitting for 60 days. So
But you got it sold. Hey, you got it sold. That's the win.
Yeah.
Being a listing broker and dealing with multiple offers, also very difficult. A lot of these tactics come into play when you're talking with your seller. So you can review these and kind of reverse the situation and help prioritize what's important to your seller. Ask your seller these questions as well. This is a double-sided coin on this one. I love it. You guys get out there, write competitive offers, especially if your clients are interested in the home and they really want to win. Ask your clients the hard questions, ask the listing broker the hard questions, and just continue to solidify your relationships on all ends. This really is all about communication and customer service. So make sure you're handling that as best as humanly possible on all levels. So,
hey, Matt.
Yeah, buddy.
I just got a quick comment actually about that. Especially if you're dealing with a condo, don't be afraid about the as is part of the contract, because you're still gonna do an inspection. And if you're in a condo, what are the worst case going to be? It's going to be appliances, that are going to be a little bit older. Also, you can always offer them, a 1-year home warranty or something like that to cover these appliances.
I agree. The contingencies on the contract, you have to understand how to manipulate them and put your deal on top. As is, if you're going into a home and you are really confident, like I said, your broker's educated, you've been through a dozen or 3 dozen home inspections, and you've really gone through this home with a fine-tooth comb, always do an as-is deal. And Fadi is 100% right. You always have the right to do a home inspection. And if shit goes absolutely sideways during the home inspection, you can walk away. You can walk away and you still get your earnest money back. The only thing you're out is $600. And a lot of times as brokers, and I know you've done this, Fadi, if we are in that situation, we feel bad as brokers. We'll pay for the home inspection for the next house that person buys. And then the buyer's like, phew, I feel better. Again, being collaborative, understanding your audience, staying as a team player is super important. Throwing some money around always helps. It really does. I mean, geez, in my day, I've thrown so much money at deals. It's absolutely sickening, but it keeps deals moving. When I'm in a volume situation, doing dozens and dozens of deals in a 2 or 3 month period, and someone's fighting over $1,000, I'm like, forget it. Like, here's $1,000. Like, shut up and go away. Let's go on to the next. Money solves so many problems. Not always at home, but I mean, definitely in real estate, it solves problems. All right, what else do you guys have? Anything? Cool. Appreciate you guys joining us. Great audience today. Hit me with the next topic. And definitely be ready to ask questions. You guys have to open up and start asking questions of things that you're thinking about, whether on topic or off topic. I love on the fly questions. That's really where I kind of thrive in this business. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen it all, done it all, and I love chatting about it. So come ready, you guys. Have a great day, and let me know if you need anything from me. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.